This is Luna, and she's a 7-year-old Cremello Arab mare. And I first met her in a yard I was working in last summer. And she called me into her stable because she was really unhappy. She was being used as a brood mare with very little love and attention, and only used in order to produce championship prize-winning foals. She was heavily underweight, and her feet were badly overgrown. So I left a message for the owner saying if she didn't want her, then please get in touch. So at the end of November, the owner got in touch because by then she'd had the foal, and we picked her up at the end of January. She was in a terrible state, and it's taken 2 months to rebuild her. And now she is, as you can see, happy, fit and healthy. And this is a classic example where, in many cases, it's not down because the owner actually ever intentionally wants to hurt anybody, but it's more due to negligence in terms of ignorance and doing what's right for the horse. In my experience, the vast majority of people love their animals and they want to do right by them, but they simply lack the understanding of what the purpose of the horse is. Constantly, horses are showing us what their story is, what they need, and how they can help us in our own healing process. And now, in my experience, in nearly every single case I've treated, it's the owner that's required rejigging, for want of a better word, than the horse. For example, nearly all cases of lameness are invariably a result of either incorrect riding, through the rider not sitting correctly, not giving the correct aids, which can result in tendon damage if the rider sits too far forward, ill-fitting saddles, and simply not listening to what the horse is asking the rider to do. For example, a lot of lameness is due to the horse not actually moving forward properly in terms of engaging behind. A lot in my experience also, a lot of the time horses, because they have a very long spine, a lot of lameness can be avoided if they get regularly checked by a good either an osteopath or McTimoney chiropractor. In addition, horses absorb all of our emotional and mental stories. So if we are carrying a lot of grief, they'll do everything in their power to absorb it and resolve it. And they're constantly trying to do their best to ensure that we feel good. And they work very much on an unspoken level. Oh, I know. You want to go out and play with your friends, don't you? For example, I'll give you a classic case. One horse I treated, the message that came through the horse was that they were so fed up of the owner when they rode them of constantly having shopping lists in her head, because she'd go out hacking and all she'd be thinking about was what she had to do next. In addition to which, they are much more sensitive in terms of picking up on energies around them than people give them credit for. So, for example, if there is geopathic stress, if there's an imbalance in the yard, they will reflect it. In one case I had in a yard in Leicestershire, they had an outdoor school, and in one corner the horses would always spook and would not work properly in that corner. It so transpired that there was what I would call an energy hotspot there, and once that was cleared, the horses worked perfectly. What do you like? You're bored. They have the most amazing ability to enable us to reach a higher level of awareness and understanding in who we are and how we operate. And the energy that they transmit through their heart, they come very much like dogs from a place of unconditional love. They're always perfectly in harmony with Mother Earth, unless they've been messed about. Now, people say that, you know, horses don't feel, they don't think, they don't have the same sentient awareness as a human, but in fact, in my estimation, they have more. Horses tend to get moved around a lot, bought and sold like commodities, which simply doesn't work for them. They are, like dogs, very much one-people persons. And the damage that is done to them energetically and emotionally, being moved from one place to another, and also just careless, thoughtless handling, can in many cases leave such a deep imprint that they literally shut off like a child that's been abused. They work on very much the same premise. they're also very much whereby they will give you everything and they will continually come back and trust you again and again and again, no matter how badly they're treated or what happens to them. I know you want to go out, keep your feet on the floor. For example, with her, when I first got her, she was totally shut down. She had no personality whatsoever, because when they're not getting the right attention, they literally shut down, and you see it in their eyes. It's like they've glazed over. And now she's coming out of her shell and is being a very happy, all-round, wholesome being. And it doesn't take much to put horses right. In the work I've been doing, horses live in the now, and I've seen them repair. This was what convinced me about the power of crystal therapy and vibrational medicine, was I've been working on humans for a good couple of years, and I always put their amazing success and recovery from cases from cancer to ME to depression down to simply the effect of panacea. Because in human minds, we can convince ourselves that up is down and pink is purple and left is right. Whereas horses don't operate under the same rational processes as humans. And it was when I started adapting my work to work on horses, and one of the first cases I had as a horsewoman, it was a horse that was supposed to be put down. And as a horsewoman, I took one look at this pony whose basically hind leg was more or less hanging off, and said, yeah, the vet's right. She should be put down. And because all my work's done through dowsing, I then dowsed, and the horse said that it could come back. And this was the interesting thing, that all the way through the treatment, my mind was going, there's absolutely no way this horse can recover from this injury. She couldn't even weight bear on a hind leg, which is, for a horse, that's it. And it showed for me once and for all how the mind actually doesn't affect things when it's not meant to. And the end of the treatment, there was no visible change. However, and this was a horse whose hind leg, she was literally on tiptoe. She couldn't put her foot on the floor. She had a lump the size of a table tennis ball on the cannon bone from where the ligament had detached and not been repaired. And a week later, I went back to see her, and she was completely weight-bearing, and the lump had almost disappeared. Now, that, to me, then convinced me that there's far more to crystal vibrational medicine than meets the eye. And it also showed me that horses live in the now. And unlike the majority of humans, they want to be the best they can be. They want to be full power. They want to show you how magical and wonderful and incredible they are. And whereas, in my experience, most of us humans are terrified of our potential. And we do anything we can to avoid it. And because we've been told by the medical profession that it takes, 6 weeks to heal an arm, and it takes, if you've got a certain disease, then you're never going to recover. And what showed me more than anything with horses is that simply this is not true. That if the answer is yes, that they can recover, they recover from injuries that I personally would never think could be possible. And I then started applying that mentality and that philosophy to humans. Yeah, all right. The big stretch, baby. Big stretch. I know you want to go out in a field and play a board. In a minute, all right? In a minute. Good girl. And I've seen this now in cases with humans whereby they've been told that they've only got 3 months to live. They've been told they've only got 6 months to live. And when you're given a belief like that, invariably you'll start to manifest it. And it's so easy to change the belief system so the body can then heal itself. That's how I got into this originally, was because I was given 6 months to live 17 years ago. And my inner voice kicked in and showed me that, this simply wasn't the case. And I know in my experience in the cases I work with humans, that one of the biggest limiting factors that prevents them from being full power and healing is the belief system. And you change someone's beliefs about who they are, what their experiences in life have been, no different to a horse, and then the inner being can shine and can recover from just about anything. But I would put a limit on that in terms of, I do believe that some of us choose to experience illness for the learning it gives, and that it could be our time to check out. And so there's a fine line there between whether or not we're meant to recover, or whether or not it's a learning experience, or whether or not it's our time to move on. And what I've discovered all the way through dowsing is if your inner self says you can get better, you can. And the only thing that will stop that process is you. And obviously, if you decide that you really don't want to recover, then you won't. However, with horses, I have never, ever, ever come across a case where a horse has said, yes, I can get better, and chooses not to. That is the fundamental difference between horses and humans. They always want to shine, whereas some humans don't.